Cool. I'm going to play the title track from my new CD. I'm really excited about it. It's doing fantastic, especially on Pandora. I'm so excited. It's nice to get some traction. Streaming can be an incredible challenge these days. You know, you never know what's going to get picked up and where it's going to go. And you can upload your best favorite album. It might not do it anything, and they might, you know, one of the sites might pick a track that somebody there really likes, and it goes viral. So there's this great unknown when you release a new album. But Pandora's been real good to me, and this album's doing great. This is the title track from last summer's album, Darkness Fades. Thank you. I actually wrote that song on my little portable digital piano. I had just picked it up and bought it from Kawai. I'm a Kawai artist, so I like to play Kawai instruments. Don't look at the Yamaha name on that; they would get mad at me. But I had just picked it up, and it's always inspiring, even if it's not like a world-class, amazing acoustic, to get a different type of piano sound in your head. And I had just purchased it. I plugged it in, and I plugged in the headphones, and I just started, doing that. And it was just, it's a different sound, and there's something that's really stimulating about doing something, especially under the headphones. So that whole last album was written under 2 digital piano headphones. That one and this one right here. That's actually a digital. I know it looks like an upright, but it's a digital. So I can play under headphones. I can turn it down. I can put a bunch of reverb and hall space on it and kind of get lost in the sound. And that's how I wrote. Really, that's how I've done the last 4 albums. And then once I get something I like, I start taking it over here and making any little changes or any little tweaks I need to make it sound better and richer on the acoustic grand. And also take some miles off of Shiggy, so that's good. This is a Shigeru Kawai concert grand, 7 foot 7 inches. It's made by Kawai in Japan. Shigeru Kawai is their handmade line. They only make about a dozen of these a year. All the woods, the soundboard and the wood on the top and the bottom of the soundboard are all aged 15 to 25 years in Siberian forests, and they only use the wood that doesn't crack in the season changes. And 80 to 85% of the wood cracks up there. And when they make these pianos, they take the largest pieces that don't. So you get this incredible sustain, you get this richness of wood, you get this depth of tone that you just don't get in any manufactured piano. You get into the handmade ranges like this, and the Busendorfers, and the Steinways, and the Grotrians, and a lot of the German brands. It's a whole nother league of piano. And I had the not handmade version of this for many years. It was the Kawai RX7. I loved it. I thought it was my dream piano, and I wrote and did a ton of albums on it. And then Kawai invited me to play this about 11 years ago. Yeah, they saw a sucker coming, didn't they? They was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, this boy's doing well. He's probably gonna write a big old fat check. So this was back when I was in Seattle. So I went to an exposition, and they had about 100 people there, and they had a classical artist and jazz artist, and they asked me to play a couple songs just to showcase the piano and how different types of music show on it. And I was like, dang, I fell in love. And I was just like, they're like, well, you can't have one for another year because this is kind of a prototype. So a year later, they called me, and they had just gotten this one in Los Angeles at the USA headquarters for Kawai. And they flew me out, and I played it, and they set me up with a ridiculous deal and put it in my studio and brought it out, and they're like, you can just try it for 6 months. Okay. Well, I sold my other one, and I bought this one, and I'm real happy. So, no, I love this piano, and no matter whatever happens with me, I mean, there's other great pianos in the world. There's other pianos I love, and I've been spoiled by a number of great pianos, but this one will be the one I always record my music on. As long as I haven't moved it in 7 years, not like 1 inch. So I'm going to play one more song and then turn it over to David. I'm going to play an emotional song here, and I'm going to tell a real quick story so I don't start getting all emotional. This is a song I wrote the night my father passed away 3 years ago. He died of COVID, tragically and perilously long, 28 days on a ventilator. And the night that he passed away, I wrote this. It's called Taken. All right. follow that up, Nevue. Let's go. No, I want to welcome our featured guest, David Nevue. Like I said, David and I met back in 2004. We did the first concert together for Whispering Solo Piano Radio. David founded Whispering Solo Piano Radio. It's solopianoradio.com. It's an internet stream that plays solo piano music. Original solo piano music like you hear tonight, music to quiet your world. And it's been one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life, the networking with other artists, meeting great friends like David and numerous other artists, and it's helped me connect with artists to work with the studio here. I've performed with probably 50 different artists over the years via Whispering Solo Piano Radio. So check that out if you like a free stream of music. It's awesome. And David is a leader amongst leaders with the artists and us, not only with his success, but his knowledge and the knowledge he shares with touring and any questions you have. I've sent the guy countless emails. How do you do this? How do you do that? Web advice, and he's got it down. He's quickly approaching 2 billion streams on Pandora with his music. He has 17 releases. You're going to hear it tonight. You're going to hear all about it and hear some of his favorites and some of the fan favorites. So please welcome a dear friend of mine, longtime friend. He's like a brother. He's came down just this weekend to be here in Phoenix last night with me and with you guys tonight. From Eugene, Oregon, David Nevue.
How you doing?
Great. Good, David.
I'm just amazing. It's been phenomenal. I'll tell you all about it. I've had a great day. But I want to start with a piece that's very meaningful to me. I feel like of all of my works, it probably has become my signature piece. And it's a song that started out kind of by accident, but it came out of a time of prayer, which a lot of my music does. And this was a sleepless night with my mind troubled, and my soul and spirit would not just settle down. And so I went downstairs to the piano and sat there with my Bible, opened up to the Psalms and started to read and pray and play. And pray and play. And as I was there reading and just spending that time in the quiet of the night, in the dark, with a little lamp turned on, enjoying that peace, I played this little riff on the piano that just really stood out to my ear, and I'm just like, wow, that's kind of cool. And so I started to compose a song. And I sat there at that piano and started to work on it, and I did not want to stop. It was just a moment, I just felt the Spirit present, and I felt comforted. And as my heart cried out, I felt like I felt heard, and I felt that the music was connecting me, as I often do, to my Creator. And I spent a night-long vigil at the piano, all night long, to finish this. And I thought, what do I call this piece? I know. The Vigil. Thank you very much. I want to play a song for you that I wanted to play tonight because I just felt like it was really appropriate. Boy, it sure ended up being appropriate. Actually, I originally wrote this piece. It was inspired by a trip to, well, actually into Bavaria. My wife and I years ago were traveling in Germany and Austria, and then we were in Bavaria, in the Bavarian region, and did Castle Neuschwanstein, and there was a resort up on the top of a mountain that we were staying at. And we were there in the middle of winter, but it was still early-ish. It was mid-November. So there was snow everywhere, but the roads were clear enough that I could drive in the little tiny rental that I had. But coming down the mountain it was a beautiful morning, and snow everywhere, but the sun was shining. And so as you're driving down the mountain, the snow was just glistening, glittering, as the light would move across the landscape as you're driving. So you felt like you were kind of driving through a rainbow, of color and light and sparkles, and it was amazing. And that inspired this piece because I literally felt like David in Wonderland. And coming back here, I haven't been here in almost 5 years. I think it's been 4.5 years since I've been to Sedona. And this morning, got up after a late night last night, but we got up and got to go out and do a nice hike. And man, it was just beautiful weather. It was just so great. I mean, it was like 50, but once I got over the crest of the hill and kind of getting down into the valley there, I was hiking over here, the rabbit trail up to Court Rock. And it was warm and sunny, and the sky was blue, and I'm just like, man, I'm back in Wonderland. And it was just such a, oh man. I texted my wife, and I said, there's just something about the air here. I said, I feel like I'm 35 again. I got a hop in my step. But then on the last mile coming down, my feet started. I texted her again, and I was just like, turns out I'm still 57.
The hop turned into a drag.
Yeah. But it was just wonderful. Man, it was just perfect, great lighting for pictures. I'll be posting some up on my Instagram feed later. I got some great shots. And of course, if you live here, who needs pictures, right? So anyway, Wonderland. This, by the way, is probably one of my favorite pieces. It's one of my favorite melodies. It's just so sweet. I just love this song. I love playing it. So, yeah. So I want to play a piece from my most recent album release, and this is a song that the story behind the latest album. It's called "In the Soft Light of Grace." I don't want to get too much into it because it's long and complicated. Other than to say that it came out of a pretty difficult time span of years, and this song in particular, I feel like is almost the mini story of this album. Like if you could take the story of the album and put it in one song, this would be it. And it was probably, just a little background here, I was a worship leader at my church. And one of the handy things about being the worship leader of the church is I had a key to the church. And so it was a night that was probably one of the lowest points in my life, with everything going on, and kind of feeling at the end of my rope. And I just wanted to be alone. So I went down to the church, and I turned on just one of the little stage lights in the sanctuary that sits over the piano at the church. And it's on a dimmer, so I turned it down really low. And I just sat at the piano and just started to play, just pouring my heart out on the piano and just expressing. That's kind of what I do. That's where my songs come from. Just expressing whatever's going on, and usually. But I did something that I don't usually do, which is just in that moment, sitting my hands on the piano and playing, a song came out pretty much fully formed. It takes me months to compose a piece and be happy with it. But over the span of about 30 minutes, I sat down and just wrote this piece. And I was really startled by it, because I felt that it so captured that moment, and I felt that it, I was kind of awestruck because out of this pain and out of this moment alone, this incredible, beautiful thing happened. And it just was a reminder that out of pain often comes beauty. You need the pain to grow. You need the pain sometimes to force you to move on and do things you don't want to do. You know, you have to make a change. And this whole album was just a blessing from God. It was a gift. It kind of was a light that saw me out of a place that I was in for several years, feeling very remote and isolated. This was before COVID. So I'm really grateful and thankful for this piece, and which has, for me, been a constant reminder that, man, good things come out of bad things sometimes, and you need the bad stuff to, it's like, as an artist without struggle, I don't know how much music, beautiful, glorious music there'd be, you know. So I'm grateful for this song, grateful for this album, and I want to perform this song for you here. Out of pain comes beauty. And speaking of leading worship, it's one of my favorite old now worship choruses, arrangements based on Psalm 42. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. I don't play that last song in concert much because it just takes me back to that place, you know. It's just like, ugh. But it's all good, man. It's so good. It's just such a blessing. So grateful for gifts. As the deer.
Joe, what was the name of that one?
That was called Imagine This. Imagine. He played that last night in Phoenix, yeah. And I opened with that song. Play it again. And that's off the album When All Is Quiet. That was my pandemic album from 2022, and or 2020 actually. And it was I mean, David talks about the light and the dark and the dark and the light, and that's a big thing with me too. We really resonate with that. The pandemic was tragic. I lost my father, I lost a cousin, I lost a friend. But at the same time, I found myself. It had been 3.5 years since I'd done an album, and I was so focused on my work here in the studio and producing and engineering other artists' stuff that my stuff took a back seat. And when the pandemic hit and everybody canceled their sessions and I was forced to face me and my desires and my heart, I went right back to the music and I just exploded. In that 3 years, I think I'd only recorded or composed 3 songs, 3.5 years. And I don't call it writer's block. I just I sit back patiently and wait. I was getting a little tired of waiting though, but inspiration has to hit and emotion has to hit. I cannot just sit at the piano and write a song. I mean, I can improvise and do some stuff, but I'll have no emotional attachment to it, so it has no value to me. The only stuff that has value to me is the stuff that I'm emotionally attached to. And I remember right when the pandemic hit, and here we are at home and walking the neighborhood and walking local trails and trying to figure out, what's going on with life. I just came here and it was a new experience. And that was so inspirational to me, along with, the tragic death of my father and, the hard times, the struggles, the unknown, the kind of general darkness that came over. That album, is probably my most emotional album, When All Is Quiet. And it was a real resurrection for me, my soul, my spirit, musically, to get back. And from there, I did 4 albums in 18 months. I did a symphonic album that was orchestrated by my buddy Doug Hammer, Symphonia 2. Then I did a second Christmas album, Candlelight Christmas 2, and then I did The Darkness Fades. So I'm going to play you my favorite track from Darkness Fades. I don't think I've performed this one live. If I have, someone correct me. But I played you Darkness Fades, and I'm going to play you the sister song to Darkness Fades. And this is called Fade to Light. Thank you.
What was the name of that again?
That's called Fade to Light. It's on the album Darkness Fades. Thank you. It's yeah, it's different, huh? I don't usually that's some left hand workout. You do that for 5 minutes and 22 seconds. The problem is to like not speed up because you have I have a tendency, to speed up and to like literally play myself right out of a song to where my right hand. One of the hands can't keep up, so it becomes this race. Who's faster? Who's faster? Who's faster? But that wasn't too bad. I feel pretty good about it. I'm gonna play one more song for you, and then turn it back over to David, our featured awesome pianist. I love David's emotion, and he bears his soul,
Yes.
and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And David and I have had we have some great conversations. We talk politics, and we'll talk, religion and faith and everything. And the beautiful thing is we're different, but we enjoy each other. We don't argue. We don't fight. We listen, and that's what's awesome. And that's what, it's one of my greatest memories of my father. My father was, politically, the antithesis of me, but man, we had fun. We'd bet a football game, and if I lost, I had to watch Tucker Carlson for an hour on Fox 13. And then I had to call my dad and report back what I learned.
Oh, no.
I know. But if my dad lost, he had to watch Don Lemon. He can't stand Don Lemon. And I kind of can't either. I lean that way. He's way that way. But it was just so much fun. We just had the best time, and we would get heated but never angry. And we would always come to a point where we would say what we learned from each other. I didn't know that about, the right. He didn't know that about the left. And we come together, we come together on a lot of things that, hey, maybe if there was a third party or something, we'd fix. But all right. I'm going to play one. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. All right. I'm going to play one more song for you. And it was written when I was back in Seattle on a rainy summer morning when I had the day off from my restaurant job and I just wanted to go to the beach and get some sun. And it was raining and I was pissed. So I couldn't go to the beach. I only had one day off a week. I was a manager. I worked 6 days a week. And so I just took my sorrows to the piano and wrote Melancholy Morning. And this song has had over 200 million spins on Pandora. I can't be more thankful enough, and I've rarely does the day go by where I don't sell a sheet music to this on my website. And I just, it was just one of those moments. It was raw emotion, and that's the trigger. That's what I look for. It's something to inspire. It doesn't matter if it's inspire up, if it's something that takes me down. If I can take it to music, it's always beautiful. Mm-hmm. This is Melancholy Morning. Hang in there, Clark.
Thanks, Joe.
I'll play you the short version.
All right, well, I thought I would open the second part here by, well, I guess it's the second and a half part, third part. I'm just going to throw a real twist in things and do something completely unexpected and play a song that I haven't performed live in probably 10 years. Because why not? If this goes well, I'll explain more. If it doesn't, then hey, it's just a lark. You'll recognize this. That went well. So now I'll explain it, why I played it. Okay, first of all, here's my little bit on this piece. If it's not Christmas, this song is called Green Sleeves. If it's Christmas, it's What Child Is This? There we go. Okay, so here's the deal. There's this video that's been on YouTube for 10 years. It's got 13 million views. And it's the recording of this song from my album Sweet Dreams of Starlight. But it's a terrible recording. It's like they took the worst sounding recording they could. It's like they copied it on a tape recorder and put it on the video. So it's like my name's on it, and it says, this is what the video is called, Green Sleeves, the best version. And then the audio is terrible. But it's like 13 million views with my name on it. And I'm like, so I really wanted, and I have for a long time wanted to do a video, like a real video, like with actually, like, this is how it's supposed to be, okay? And then the other reason why I wanted to play it, and this is so cool, one of the most famous pianists in the internet, or not on the internet, forget the internet, he's one of the most famous pianists in the world. His name is Long Long, and he's from China. You might have seen his name. It looks like Lang Lang, but it's Long Long. So if you thought it was Lang Lang, it's Long Long. Just telling you. He's a Steinway artist. He's by far one of the greatest classical pianists that are out there right now. A big name. And he took my arrangement of Greensleeves and recorded it and released it. He wanted to do a version of it. He heard I direct messaged him on Twitter, and I'm like, why me? He's like, well, they gave me a bunch of versions of Greensleeves, and I liked yours the best. So I thought that was cool. So there's a recording out there of this world-famous piano player, classical piano player, who's playing my arrangement of Greensleeves. So now I can put something out there and say, okay, this is me doing it. So, yay! Okay, that's success. And since I'm swinging for the fences, I'm going to play a piece off my most recent album, In the Soft Light of Grace. Again, I wish I had the time to go into the backstory of all of this, because some things would make more sense. But this song was a gift to me because as a composer, I had thought I had done everything that I had done. I just thought I was done writing. I didn't think I could compose or write anything new anymore. And that's been part of a struggle for a while, is that, we artists, after, as Joe said, I think I counted up recently, and I've got something like 170 or 180 original compositions. How do you write something new? And so that was kind of a block for me, and I really began to feel for a while, and this is kind of part of some of my struggle, that I kind of reached the end of the road a little bit in terms of just like, how can I, But this whole album was a gift. It was just like an outpouring of, I just felt like it was just like a gift from God to me to basically say, you're okay, kid, just keep going. You come out to the light, you just stop wallowing in it, get on with it. But this piece was a real gift, because it's probably, I would say, among, if not the, but among my most complex arrangements that I've ever written. And I'm so happy with the recording of this piece, and I feel like it's so great. And if I could get a video of me performing this and performing this well, no pressure, it would just be awesome. So I'm going to swing for the fences, and I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to play it. I'm going to nail it. That's what I'm going to do. And this is called Equilibrium. I'll take it.
Nailed it.
Woo!
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Grand slam.
There's a reason why I saved that for the second half, because the jitters go away, and then I just have fun and play, and I stop thinking about the fact that I'm playing in front of who knows how many people. I really don't get that nervous anymore playing for a live audience. I've just kind of got that down. I've been doing it for so many years, but I have to admit, playing live streaming to out there to the world, it adds this element of don't oops, which makes you oops. It's just what it is, and it's just But hey, this is what it is. It's great. So, thank you for being here, internet audience. Okay, well. That was grace. That was all grace. So this is appropriate. Because that was some amazing grace. It's all grace. I'm amazed at where God has taken me, the people I've gotten to meet and to play for. opportunity to pray with. I've had opportunity to pray with people, to encourage them and to lift them up. I really believe that my job as a believer in Christ is not to say, hey, I'm good, someday I'll go to heaven. That's not what it's about. What it's about is bringing heaven to earth and showing people this is what it's supposed to be. Love, generosity, kindness, encouraging one another. Grace. And I tell you, when you're in Sedona, you feel like heaven on earth. So what a blessing to be here. And I just want to thank Joe, my good friend, for giving me the opportunity to come back here and do this again. Really grateful to hike, to see him, to visit. My goodness, we got home last night at 1 a.m. He goes out and he grills up 2 big prime rib steaks. So it's like, 1:30 a.m. and we're eating this like 14-ounce plate of meat and heaven on earth. All right, so I got one more for you, and this is a piece it's from my Postcards from Germany album, and back in 1998, my wife and I took this amazing trip to Germany and Austria. We were invited by some friends to come and see them, and so we took them up on the offer and came out. We stayed with them for about 4 or 5 days, and then we took off and just did Germany and Austria. And when we were in downtown Munich, as I mentioned earlier, it was November, middle November. It was great. It was like my birthday, basically. And we were in downtown Munich. It was very cold. And as we're shopping, my wife Julie's shopping. And I'm just kind of walking around the store, and we go between the stores, and I just hear this music, and I'm like, what is this strange, interesting sound? I'm like, where's this coming from? And then we turn a corner, and then I see him, this madman, playing this instrument that I can only describe as a cross between an accordion and a bagpipe and a rocket ship. And rainbow colored with sparkles rocket ship. And the music that he was playing, first of all, I gotta say, it was, as I mentioned, it's bitterly cold. He's out there all by himself. There's not even a crowd around him. He's playing all alone, and he's got those gloves with his hands covered, but the fingers are cut off. And so his hands are doing this in the cold. And he's got a keyboard on his little instrument, and he's playing it. He's playing this music that's just wild. I mean, the technique to be able, I don't know how he could play like that in that cold weather with your hands trembling in blue. But he was doing it, and the music was just psychedelic. It was space music. It was like Pink Floyd polka, kind of just wrapped together. And so we're listening, and I'm really reveling in this sound. This is really wild. And we're standing there for about 10 minutes. And I think my ear got used to hearing the melody, and so I kind of started to tune out that, and all I started to hear was the bottom end. I started to hear the bass more than anything, and my ear got tuned to the bass. And then I started to realize that what I was hearing over and over was oompa, 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 oompa. And once I heard it, I couldn't not hear it. So the melody goes away, and I'm hearing this little oompa band in my brain. And I turned to my wife, Julie, and I'm like, let's get out of here, because I don't want this oompa band in my brain for the next week. It was too late. So for the next week, I carry around this oompa music. And we finally get home, and I have to get it out of me. So I sit at the piano, I'm just kind of playing, trying to get this music out. And
Exorcist.
I kind of, yes, kind of like that, driving out that, get out of me. But on the way to trying to get rid of that music, I accidentally got an idea and started writing this song. So I'm writing this piece and kind of inspired by this guy and the music, and it's tough for me at that. It's very different. Not really me stylistically, and so it's a real challenge. And so I really, really work on it to get it recorded in the studio and get it recorded, because I want to be done with it. It's had enough of my brain. So I finish it up, I get it done, I record it, goes well. 3 years later, I'm going to go on tour. I'm going to be playing in Houston, and I'm going to be playing a house concert for this woman. About a month before the show, she emails me and she asks me if I could play that song. And I told her, I said, well, I don't play that song anymore. I'm sorry. And she says, no, you have to play that song. That's my favorite song of yours.
Oh, no.
And I said, well, it's a really hard song, and I haven't played it since I literally haven't played it since I recorded it. And she's like, you don't understand. The reason I'm having you come to my house and to play for all my friends is because it's my birthday. And all I wanted for my birthday was for David Nevue to come to my house and play that song for all my friends. And so I said, okay, I'll work on it. So I worked on it. And I got down there, and the night came, and I did my normal concert. And then I got to the end, and I thought, it's going to be the last song. Because if it just goes terrible, I was like, it's the last song. And so I played it, and they loved it. They just loved it. She just like, yeah, she jumps up, and she's clapping, and all of her friends, clapping. And they loved it. She was so grateful, and just the joy, and it's like, oh, that's phenomenal. And then I had a concert the next night, and I just thought, I went to all that effort to learn this piece again, so I might as well play it. And I've been ending my concerts with it for the last 15 years.
It's going viral.
This is a great show closer. It's a fun piece because it's kind of unlike me. That's what makes it actually kind of fun. And also because I've been playing it for so long, I'm not afraid of it anymore, which is nice. So I present to you the amazing accordion man. I thought I'd tell a story. So years ago, way back when Joe was in Seattle, and I was coming up to his house. It was amazing. I had recorded this album. This was going way back to probably 2000. Well, anyway. Okay, so I was at Joe's place, and it was late night. You know, we were just hanging out, and I wanted to share this kind of this progression that I was writing with Joe, and I was starting to write this song, and I was just like, so Joe, it's probably 1:30 in the morning. We're just like rumming and just like tired and everything. I'm like, check this out, Joe. What do you think of this little progression here? And what do you think? So I started playing, just going through it, and I'm showing him, and then he comes up and he just starts playing over me. I'm like, oh, and this little improvisation, this moment late at night when we're both tired and rummy, ended up becoming a piece. I finished this song, and with his permission, I asked Joe if I could use that little melody that he had written, because I had kind of heard it in my head, and I'm just like, that's just like perfect. And so I wrote this two-hand version of this piece, but I really and the piece is a little bit longer and such, the two-hand version that I did just like solo. But I really, really like what it is when Joe and I play it together. I just feel like that's how it came about, and that's how it should be performed. So I wanted to invite Joe up here and see if I could talk him into reliving the past. And
you start.
okay. So late one night 15 years ago. Joe, check this out.